Hi. Caden says hi. He always gets so excited. I'm sorry we're late. We were a little bit late today. It was my mother's birthday yesterday, and I called her, and she didn't answer, so I texted her. And then she called me back today, and she had been traveling and stuff. So she called me back, and so we were talking, and I was no way hanging up on my mother to come and do this. I thought, I'll be late. That's fine. Because I don't talk to her very often. I miss her. She turned 83 yesterday. Amazing. Oh, thanks for the loves. Oh, you're so precious. I didn't bring anything to show off because I just came rushing in here because I was late, so I don't have any cute things to show except my necklace that you've already seen because I wear it quite a bit. So it has a real flower in it. It's hard to see. I'm far away, but yeah. And then also, what did you have for dinner? To give everybody ideas when you're trying to decide what to make. We had steak and loaded baked potatoes and steamed broccoli and cauliflower, which is a favorite of ours, and we actually try to do it as often as we can. Steak is expensive, but we get it at Aldi's, and it's a pretty good price. But I'm anemic. My iron's always low, so the steak and broccoli is a really good thing for us. We do often because that's really high in iron. So we did that quite a bit, and we had steak and broccoli tonight with baked potatoes, and it was really yummy. And then we just finished off the last little bit of cheesecake. And I had a piece of fudge for dessert. So that's what we had for dinner. It was really good. And we're going to read the next 5 chapters. So yesterday we did 1 through 5. They're really short. And then today we'll do 6 through 10. Let me see how many chapters there are so we know kind of how long. I mean, it's a really short. So there's 20 chapters. So I guess it'll take us 4 days if we're doing 5 at a time. I mean, it's a pretty thin book. It's a kid's book, but it's funny. Okay, so to recap the first 5 chapters, Jemmy is a whipping boy for the prince because it's illegal to spank or hit or punish a prince. So every time the prince is naughty, the whipping boy gets punished, which, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, did you bump your head? Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. Did you bump? Oh, look. Tell him all about it. You bumped your head. That was rough. It's okay. Oh, look, you're so loud. Look, you're so loud. Nobody can hear. It's tough. That's tough. Yeah. Sorry you bumped your head. You okay? You gonna be okay? Oh, he got a pen and wrote on his head. You can see these little got a pen all over his head. So the prince decided to run away. Oh, the prince didn't. He hated to do his lessons and he refused to do them. And since the instructor, the teacher, couldn't punish him for not doing his lessons, he punished Jemmy every time the prince didn't know his lessons. So Jemmy learned how to read and write, and the prince didn't. So Jemmy gets a whipping and then learns how to read, I guess. So one day the prince comes in and says, "We're going to run away," and Jemmy doesn't want to go, but he's kind of stuck. So he goes with the prince. They run away, and they get caught by 2 cutthroat ruffians. So then they just realized he's a prince. So now they know they can hold him for ransom. So. Chapter 6, in which the plot thickens. Wisps of fog clung like tattered rags to the trees, and then the forest cleared, but so thick were the pines that the morning sun barely touched the ground. Hold-your-nose Billy pushed aside a low branch, revealing a rickety timbered hut with a moldy thatched roof. "That's our castle, your majesty," he said, chuckling, "except our hospitality." He's so loud, sorry. "I hope you won't mind." "You're so noisy." "I hope you won't mind sleeping on the floor." Here's the picture. That's one big man and one very skinny man. The floor was hard-packed earth. Braided garlic bulbs hung. Oh, Caden, you little helper. He's such a helper. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, hey, what did you do? What did you do? Oh, my goodness. Sorry, he's a helper. You're a handful. Yeah, you're a handful. Can you go? You silly baby. I love you. The floor was hard-packed earth. Braided garlic bulbs hung like knotted ropes from the rafters. I'm hungry, announced Prince Brat. And feast you will, said Hold Your Nose Billy. Cutwater, serve 'em up our finest bread and herring. Sorry, he's so noisy. You're so noisy. Yeah, you're noisy. Yeah, you can't bite me. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. Jemmy had made many a meal on bread and herring when he was in luck and felt hungry enough to ask for seconds. Prince Brat bared his teeth. I would sooner eat mud. He reached for the wicker basket, but Cutwater snatched it back. What we got here, muttered the bone-thin man, and threw back the lid. Roll your eyes at this, Billy. Meat pies, looks like, and fruit tarts, and a brace of roast pheasant. We will eat like kings. Hands off, that's mine, the prince cried out. Was yours, yapped Clearwater. Locks, thought Jimmy. Hadn't the prince run away in royal style? He had even brought a china plate, a silver spoon, and a silver knife for himself. Digging around deeper in the basket, the garlicky outlaw called out to Cutwater. Bring the lantern closer. What's this? In the gloom of the hut, the big man lifted out a golden crown. That's mine, bleated the prince. Was yours, corrected Hold Your Nose Billy, placing the crown on the tangled red nest of his hair. Oh, Aiden, you're such a helper. Prince, hold your nose, Billy, Cutwater burst out joyously. He began to scratch himself as if his shirt were crawling with fleas, which Jimmy thought it probably was. We're dog rich. That crown, a trifle, scoffed Hold Your Nose, Billy. We can be richer and dog rich. Caden. You can't take those. I need them. Those are important papers that I need, that I use. Oh, don't be grumpy. Oh my goodness. Do you need to go out? No? You can only be in here if you're being nice. Do you need to go find Dada? Do you need to? No? You want to see pictures of Caden? Here, I'll show you a picture of you. Here. Here we go. Here we go. The empty-headed prince, Jemmy thought. Why had he brought along his crown? To cock it on his head and expect vagabonds and cutthroats to fall to their knees? The big, raw-faced outlaw grabbed Prince Brat off the ground and took the heft of him as if he were weighing a sack of potatoes. 55 pounds by my reckoning, he said. We'll write the king a command, Cutwater. 55 pounds of gold coin in trade for his royal tadpole. Chapter 7. Chapter 7. Being an account of a great mix-up. Cutwater rummaged around in a black oak chest of stolen goods. Handkerchiefs flew out like soiled white doves, worn shoes, ladies' combs, a cowbell, a junk heap. They have had lean pickings, this raggedy pair of highwaymen, Jemmy thought, and maybe not as smart and clever as the song sellers made out. Here is a scrap of paper, Billy, said Cutwater, finding it in the pocket of a stolen coat. But how are we going to do the scribblement? We can't, right? I seen it done. Sharpen us a hawk's feather, Cutwater. I am hungry, complained the prince. I will have a veal pie, sir. Hold Your Nose Billy ignored him. He poked around a beetroot and squeezed out the juice with his bare hand. It dripped like blood onto a china plate. There is ink for you, Prince. Take the hawk's feather and scratch out our message. Prince Brat folded his arms. I do not take orders from curs and villains. Think of your pa, said Hold Your Nose Billy. He will be ever so much obliged to know you are safe and hearty. I told you I'm hungry. You won't eat a bean till you do us the document. But I can't write, blurted out Prince Brat. And crows can't fly, erupted the big outlaw with a blast of garlicky breath. You are a prince. Kings and such like are learned to read and write soon as they tumble out of the cradle. Don't think you can pull the wool over our eyes. Hop to it. But I can't so much as scratch my own name. Jemmy shot a calculating glance at Prince Brat. His pesky hide hardly seemed worth saving, but a scheme had leaped into his head. He might be able to trick these mangy outlaws into letting the prince go, and Jemmy would be rid of Prince Brat once and for all. Give me the hawk's quill. I will write the words, he announced. That's right, Prince Brat chimed in. My whipping boy knows his letters. Fall to, Jemmy from the streets. Hold on, said Hold Your Nose Billy, his sharp gaze flickering from one boy to the other. This ignorant whipping boy knows his letters, and the royal prince can't sign his own name. Something's amiss here. What you thinking, Billy? Said Clearwater. I am thinking these lads have muxed themselves up to flummox us. Come here. You're so sad. How come you so grumpy, huh? How come you so grumpy? Say hi. 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 I love you. You're a pumpkin. Yeah? You want this one? Jemmy lifted his chin arrogantly and tried to look as prince-like as possible. Nonsense. I am a mere whipping boy. The big man rumbled up a laugh, showing a mouthful of yellow teeth. You take us for bedrock numbskulls? Certain as eggs is eggs, you are the royal prince, a genuine, straight up and down royal highness. Prince Brat's face turned red as hot. It's Tess and Baya and Randy and the big man rumbled up a laugh. Oh, I said that. Prince Brat's face turned red as hot iron. That ratty street orphan, he bellowed. That low-born silence, commanded Jemmy. Can't you see the game is up? They are on to us. Hold your tongue. But I'm his royal highness. Ah, thought Jemmy. This haughty prince didn't have the sense of a gnat. Couldn't he see a plan afoot? Save your breath, snapped Jemmy. Stop giving yourself airs, you witless servant boy. Servant boy, dare you address me? Bag your head, snapped Hold Your Nose Billy. Give him a kick, Clearwater, if we hear another peep out of him. Hand me the hawk's feathers, said Jemmy. I'll write my papa, the king. Chapter 8. The Ransom Note. Hold Your Nose Billy tilted the princely crown on his head. What have you writ down so far? Jemmy glanced up from the sheet of paper. To the king's most sacred majesty, dear papa. Aye, that sounds proper respectful. What else? Our captors are loyal subjects, but scoundrels by trade. Don't cross them. Make that a mite stronger, said the outlaw, beginning to pace. Tell him we're shameful mean and rough as a sackful of nails. Warn him we fear no gallows. Jemmy dipped the quill in beet juice and continued scribbling. I will tell him you've got reserved seats in hell. Aye, that's the ticket. Cutwater had begun gnawing away at a roasted pheasant, and his cheeks swelled out as if he had a monstrous toothache. What about the king's soldiers, Billy? Now the fog is lifted, they'll be following the lad like a trail of ants. Puts my spine a shiver. Faugh! Exclaimed Hold Your Nose Billy. Even rabbits get muxed up and lost in this forest. We're well hid, Cutwater. I'll warn Papa, Jemmy offered generously, that if you spy out a single uniform, you'll crack my neck like a chicken's. Prince Brat sat sullenly on a pile of moldy bedstraw. He glared icily at the whipping boy who had seized his royal title. And don't forget the reward, Billy, said Cutwater. We want the prince's weight in gold bangers, right? Tell the king that, directed Hold Your Nose Billy, in big letters. Now let me reckon out a safe spot to deliver the loot. Jemmy dipped the quill, but then paused. Ah, he thought, it's not enough to choose my words. As if I were a prince. Show some high and mighty, Jemmy. Think like a prince. Here's a picture of him. Garlic everywhere. Dimwits, he flared up. Catch penny rogues. I will not be exchanged for such a trifle. My mere weight, a paltry treasure you could carry on a shoulder. How dare you insult me? Hold Your Nose Billy's red eyebrows shot up in bewildered surprise. Insult you? A trifle? A prince is worth a prince's ransom. The eyebrows lowered as quickly as they had risen. No one. Oh my goodness, you're so sad. Kenny, no? No offense meant, lad. How would you calculate a proper ransom? A wagon load of gold, at the very least, and jewels mixed in. Oh my goodness, you're so sad. You're so sad today. Oh, you're so sad. Mwah. Mwah. Hi. 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 You love the attention, don't you? As I'm alive, a wagon load? Cutwater gulped down the wad of fowl in his mouth. We did forget about jewels, Billy. A wagon load it is, then, exclaimed the hairy outlaw. Prince Brat's mouth fell wide open at the whipping boy's nervy mischief. Hold Your Nose Billy stood over Jimmy's shoulder and watched the words being scratched out. Finally, he said, Have you made your sign yet? About to, replied Jimmy. With as much flourish as he could manage, he wrote, Your obedient son, Prince Horace. Chapter 9. Revealing Jemmy's plan to trick the villains. Hold Your Nose Billy popped a clove of garlic into his mouth, ground it between his yellow teeth, and helped himself to a veal pie. Nothing like garlic to clear the head and fend off the plague. Cutwater, give the lads a ration of breakfast. The scrawny outlaw sliced off 2 thick pieces of coarse bread. He draped a salt herring across each slice. Eat hearty, little fellers. That smelly stuff? Prince Brat glared at the bread and herring. It is not fit for flies. Why, we eat it regular, worms and all, said Cutwater, picking the bones of the pheasant. I will starve first. Suit yourself, Cutwater snickered. This is the first time we've feasted off the king's own table, and there's hardly enough for me and Billy. Jimmy sat on the bedstead beside the prince and contemplated his breakfast. He examined the bread closely, hunting for varmints. The prince, he knew, had never been starved enough to pick out wildlife from his grub. Eat, he whispered. I can't find any crawly things in it. The bread is stale, grumbled the prince. Stale enough to patch a roof, but I've scoffed down worse. The prince began to nibble around the edges. Hold Your Nose Billy glanced over and grinned. Take a chaw of garlic, whipping boy. It'll improve the taste considerable. Cutwater wiped his thin, greasy lips with the back of his hand. Billy, how do we know the prince ain't laid a trap for us in that message? He could have said one thing and wrote another. Where'll we find someone to read it off to us? Jemmy lifted his chin to a regal height. You doubt the word and honor of your prince? Insolent oafs, curs, I'll have you horsewhipped. Cutwater yanked Jemmy to his feet. Who you calling them names? I'll flog your hide pink as a salmon. Hold Your Nose Billy pushed him aside. Keep your wits. It's worse than common murder to lay hands on a prince. No need to break any more of the king's laws than we have to. If it comes to a flogging, there's his whipping boy. The prince's eyes widened and his face blanched white. The prospect of taking a whipping himself had never occurred to him. But, sir, it wasn't me who called you names. Cutwater gave a sudden cackle. Sir, is it now? That's more like it. But tell the prince here to keep a civil tongue in his head. Prince Brat shot Jemmy a poisonous look. The garlicky outlaw was leaning closer to Jimmy. See here, Prince, it's not that we doubt your word and honesty, not a bit, but all the same, let's hear you read off the message. Jimmy turned away from the man's breath and began to read. No, no, lad, let's have it from bottom to top. Read it backwards. I do hope for your whipping boy's sake you don't stumble and trip as if the real words ain't on paper. Jemmy shrugged. It says, son obedient your obedient son, said Hold Your Nose Billy. Keep at it. Jewels and gold of cart full a of ransom a demand they. They demand a ransom of a cart a full. The outlaw himself began to stumble and trip over the words. Aye, that's the ticket. Jimmy read the message through backward, and then a second time before the hairy outlaw was satisfied. Now then, he said, all we got to do is get the message to the king without being nabbed in the act. Simple, declared Jimmy. Send it to the castle in the hands of my whipping boy. Chapter 10. Oh, you're so sad. What? You want mama? Oh. What are you doing? You're so silly. What are you doing? Chapter 10, in which Prince Brat lives up to his name. Oh, son, you did so sad today. What you do? Hey, it's okay. You're okay. Hey, who's that baby? Who's that sweet baby? Hold Your Nose Billy clapped a leery. Sorry, he's so loud. Hold Your Nose Billy clapped a leery eye on the rat catcher's son. Prince, do you take me for a precious fool? Send your whipping boy to blab out where we're hid, eh? The king will come chopping down every tree if he finds out we're nested in the forest. Jimmy assumed a princely air of indifference. Then tote the message yourself. It's no skin of my ear if you never get back alive. He filled his mouth with bread and herring. I declare, this is tasty. Prince Brat scoffed under his breath. He hadn't shown a moment's interest in Jimmy's scheme to free him. Their eyes met and clashed. God, Jimmy thought, he's fuming like a stovepipe at being unprinced. He'll have me charged with treason. I'll stand guard over the prince, said Cutwater. You the one to go, Billy. Me, hooted the big man. Me that they sing songs about and pinch their noses? At the first whiff of garlic, it would be off with the head of Hold Your Nose Billy. Unlikely, corrected Jimmy. True, Papa would have you tortured a mite to loosen your tongue, but he wouldn't have your head. Not Papa. He favors slow boiling in oil. You're just so sad. We're almost done. Yeah, we're almost done. Oh my goodness. He just wants all my attention. All of it. Oh, you have to. You're so silly. Oh. The effect on the outlaws was instant. Hold Your Nose Billy's jaw dropped. Sweat broke out across his face like raindrops. Cutwater, you're skin and bones. You could slip in and out of a keyhole. I will guard the prince. Faw, Billy, I don't fancy being boiled cake. The hairy outlaw gave a loud and decisive snort. We'll send the whipping boy. Jimmy held back a sigh of relief. And my crown with him. Your golden crown? Blurted out Cutwater. Not by half we won't. Jemmy made the pretense of blazing up with impatience. Simpleton! I swear there are not two more ignorant, cloven-footed blockheads in the land. Prince Brat shot Jemmy a quick, thunder-scowl look. Stop it, he whispered harshly. Don't give them the rough side of your tongue. You'll get me whipped. Jemmy ignored him. Donkeys, he continued. Before the day is out, dozens of villains will deliver up false claims. Only my crown will convince Papa that you are the genuine villain. Hold Your Nose Billy began to pace, munching garlic cloves as if they were grapes. Finally, he tipped the crown off his head and flung it to Prince Brat. Whipping boy, Deliver it to the king. If he doesn't follow our instructions to the letter, the prince will be done for. Cutwater snickered, drawing a knife-like finger across his throat. Oh my goodness, you're so noisy. We're almost done, baby. Almost done. Look. You're so grumpy. You just need all the attention. All the attention. And blab all you want. Shh, added the other outlaw. We'll pack the prince off to a different hiding place. By its smelly tail, Prince Brat tossed aside the uneaten herring without showing the slightest concern for Jimmy's fate. He flicked a glance at the two outlaws. I'll deliver nothing, he exploded. I won't go back to the castle. Okay, that's the end of chapter 10. Sorry, very distracting today. Caden is a handful, and I would have brought him to Charles, but he fell asleep on the couch, so we couldn't take him. Well, he's happy now that we're done. Little pumpkin. Okay, so we'll do 5 more chapters tomorrow, and then 5 more the next day, and that one will be over. And then I think, because the next book the only other book that I have that I think would be worth reading on here is Evelina, so I will start that one. But if anybody has ideas or suggestions of anything they want to hear, put them in the comments. I'll read them, and we'll decide what to do from here. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that for today, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.